All right. Good morning. Good evening. Good night. We needed today. We needed a good day in NFTs and Web3, and that's where we're sitting here on a Wednesday. I am hanging out with some of my closest friends in the space. Ronan the Collector, Gifted. I like that Venturepunk hat there, Ronan. How are we doing today, man?
Good, dude. Good. It's a little rainy here though. So it's like one of those days where it's like kind of hard to like get like the energy going, but happy to be here.
Love it. Gif.
I
Hello.
am I am still butthurt.
I knew you were going to say.
What?
I was there with y'all
True.
interviewing on stage with two of you, Mr. Jordan Wild, the Venturepunk. And for some reason, you both got Venturepunk gear, and I didn't think to ask the question, I guess. I don't know, but I wish I had one of those badass Venturepunk hats that I could be rocking right now.
You already look swaggy enough. I think that's what Jordan had said to me.
Right. You know what? I'll take it. I don't believe you, but whatever. You know what? I'm feeling good today. Things are up. There's a lot of green. You know what? You can blow smoke wherever you want.
I cannot tell if today's market prices or the news is what's like really got my energy pumping, or maybe it's a combination of both. I hate to be the guy that's like, oh, Bitcoin's up 10%. I'm going to be like super happy today. Because like that eventually leads to just a rocky time in this space, but it feels good to see green on those timelines.
Yeah, it's kind of like when the Cowboys actually win a game, right?
I will not stand for any cowboy FUD here on the episode. We actually have a good divisional record here. It's just when we get to that damn playoffs. Anyways, we are going to get started here on today's episode, minus any more cowboy FUD. Yeah, Bitcoin's up, as Gifted alluded to, over 30K. Holy shit, I didn't even see that till just now. Ethereum's up 7, up to 1,800. Of course, altcoins are following in the wake of the granddaddy. NFT price floors we'll look into here in a second. This episode is primarily going to be focused on two things. dotSwoosh coming out with their Fortnite collaboration and partnership, as well as the heavy metal release from Bored Ape Yacht Club, Yuga Labs. It came out under the Bored Ape Twitter profile and not Yuga Labs, so I'm interested in how they get out their different press releases. But this one came out through the Bored Ape Yacht Club, but the heavy metal release is what we'll kind of hone in on. And of course, other quick news pieces around the space. Rocky R, DP, Prodigy, what's going on, y'all? Our vibe, our tribe. Thank you guys for showing up here early. We just pressed the live button. DP saying, you look swaggy enough. Not in that fucking Wizards of Narnia ass shirt. LOL. God damn.
Yo, this is the jersey from ETH Denver, fam. This shit's actually pretty lit. So, like, say what you want. Limited edition ETH Denver jersey. There's not that many people that got one of these. So you
kind of like that Venturepunk hat.
You bite your tongue. I did think, you brought up an interesting point that they shared the heavy metal update out of the Bored Ape Twitter instead of like other side. It didn't really register to me like it did, but I didn't really think that much about it. I wonder if they're saying like, hey, you know what? Everybody's fudding us because they're saying we're not doing enough right now. We better post something big from the Bored Ape Twitter.
That's fair.
That is fair.
Quick, let them know we're still building. We're building. Let them know, quick.
We are building today's episode a masterpiece.
Yeah, before Bored Apes hit 30 ETH. Let them know.
Sir, don't say that out loud. Don't speak that into existence. All right, huge day in Web3. We already talked about it. I dropped this link just now here for you guys. If you guys could leave a reply, if you could leave a like, that would help us get the word out on the Twitter sphere as well as on YouTube if you can do so. I got a couple quick housekeeping pieces that I want to get to before we rock the news for the day. We had Ralph Quintero, so one of the biggest guests we've had on Wild Wild Web up to this point. He was on the episode today. So this episode's already released. It's already on Spotify. You can go there now, check it out, listen to it. Ralph is, of course, one of the best thought leaders in the space, in my opinion. I use his daily Ralpha newsletter every day for the most part when I get up. Let's listen to a clip here. Hopefully I don't get copyrighted for my own damn content, YouTube. How do you both stay up to date, where you feel like the newsletter is, packed with all the information that people need on a daily basis, but also take a long-term look and a more strategic view of the industry and yourself in it?
I do a lot of research. I spend hours upon hours a day doing research just to make sure that the information that I'm providing daily to my readers is accurate. It's meaningful. It could actually, be things that are actionable for them. And then I'm also in the space full time, right? So that was a big commitment that I made at the beginning of 2021, where I was like, if I'm going to be in this space, I'm going to be in this space. So I shifted a lot of my advisory work and client work, strictly into Web3, and I haven't looked back.
So that was a short clip from my episode with him. We went about an hour, and it's jam-packed with good info. Ralph is an extremely sharp individual, and I was happy to have him on the show.
Yeah,
dude, I agree. Sorry. I was gonna say I agree. Yeah, I read the newsletter every day. It's definitely one of those things that I like to just pull up in the background and hit whenever I've got a couple minutes to read through and click any of the links he provides. Definitely a wealth of knowledge.
I agree. I'm always excited to listen to your interviews on Wild Wild Web Q, but this one particularly, I'm very excited to listen to because I think it's absolutely going to be, like you said, jam-packed with awesome information from the daily Ralpha himself.
I apologize for putting you up on this. I apologize for throwing you up there, Gif. I thought you had something to say. I always you're fighting for some mic. Yeah. We got a couple other things that we need to touch on. One tied to that Daily Ralpha podcast and the interview we just had. There will be a giveaway. So if you go to the Wild Wild Web, so at Wild Web Pod, there will be I think it's going to be a $50 giveaway. We haven't worked out the details, but by this time tomorrow, so we'll be talking here, of course, on NFT Live tomorrow to you. There will be an actionable social media action that you will need to take in order to join that giveaway associated with that episode. So just be on the lookout for that. Wanted y'all to get front running on that giveaway. GIF has been following here dotSwoosh in that release for a minute. So we're going to hop into this later in the episode, but there is kind of a breaking announcement here from dotSwoosh. What the fuck happened here?
Yeah. I'm trying again real quick before
I would say no. It totally that's funny that happened because I literally just revealed 2 of mine within the hour. So
really,
they may have been having an issue for a minute, but
I'm not gonna lie. This is the second time that I've wanted to do reveals because we've been waiting to do a live reveal on the show of my 2 remaining Air Force One boxes. And today was going to be the day. And again, it can't do it. It's broken again. So the first time I went to go and try and record a couple of hours after the reveal was supposed to happen, I spent over an hour, couldn't get it to work. The website was down, it was broken. And then this morning, it was acting really funky. It was showing me a bunch of other profiles. This is what I see right now, is this null dotSwoosh. When I go try and log in, this is what it's taking me to. So This is the only downside right now, is that they're having a lot of technical difficulties. And look, what they're trying to achieve has never been done before. It's not easy because they are trying to create a whole infrastructure around their own platform that can integrate with all different types of assets and even into now the Epic Game Store, which is a whole crazy thing that we can talk about with this new Fortnite activation. So clearly there's a lot on the back end that's happening to make this whole platform happen. They're trying to do all of this at scale, but it's been the one frustrating downside of this whole dotSwoosh experiment so far, is that the website has suffered a lot of downtime, a lot of server errors, a lot of different issues, and it's broken a lot when you go there around, these big moments like the mints or the reveals. So hopefully they can scale their tech team or figure out how to scale their servers or whatever bandwidth, whatever. I don't know exactly logistically what's breaking, but they're clearly having a lot of issues. I did see, it was interesting, while we were live on GM-Web3 and I was trying to figure out what the heck was going on, because it almost seemed like at first my account had been hacked, or they'd inappropriately reapplied my account to somebody else's new domain or something. And so I was really concerned. And so I kept going and trying to log in. And it did end up at one point dropping me onto an onboarding page for, is it BitGo? What is that wallet? I think it's called BitGo. Is that what we're
Yeah.
talking?
So one of the people on stage in the morning show this morning was talking about BitGo. Like, yeah, BitGo, it has been around for a long time, providing wallet security.
So this is part of what I think is happening right now and creating the issues. It looks like what they are trying to do is roll out an onboarding for dotSwoosh to like, because for those of you who don't know, what they've done is, they announced dotSwoosh 6 months ago. I don't know how long ago, but then through the end of like kind of last year into the beginning of this year, they were hosting all of these different community events in big cities, and they were onboarding sort of like the early adopters in the Web3 community into this dotSwoosh platform, where you got your dotSwoosh domain and you got your soulbound token, and they got, a couple 100,000 people, I think, through this initial outreach, right? Through this initial push of doing this sort of like, community outreach, community building to get the early adopters. They got a couple 100,000 people in. But how do they scale it? How do they keep growing it and get more people who weren't in that initial push in? It looks like that's what they're trying to figure out right now, is to onboard people into the BitGo wallet, which is apparently that is the infrastructure and the wallet behind their custodial platform and the dotSwoosh platform. So just like Starbucks Odyssey is built on Nifty Gateway and their custodial wallets, apparently BitGo is the blockchain tech that is behind the dotSwoosh wallets. And so, so anyway, I saw this onboarding page for BitGo wallet. It looked like it was a new way for people who weren't already in the dotSwoosh ecosystem to go on, claim their domains, and set up a wallet. And so it looks like to me they are actively trying to get this bigger onboarding situation worked out, and that's probably where some of the difficulties are coming from.
Ronan, I'm getting severe PTSD. This feels like a wax drop.
That's so it's crazy though, because like I don't know, I'm tempted to see, like, I don't know, can you see my share screen?
Yes.
So I literally just revealed my two earlier, and I'm curious if I go to try to reveal one, if it's gonna work. So let's see if I can get one to reveal like live. I literally just revealed both. This one's actually pretty cool.
So is your profile now working? Is that what you're telling me, or is that?
Yeah, I'm in my profile. Like I'm in my profile. This is my profile. I revealed these two earlier.
Yeah, that is cool.
This one's pretty cool. Yeah. And then I've got these two. So I don't know if they'll actually reveal. I will say that clicking the reveal button, it definitely was taking a minute. Like I was clicking it and then I'd like leave it. So honestly, we could probably cut away from that, and then in a minute we can go back to it. Yeah, it's interesting that they're having so many issues, and I agree. I think that it comes down to like they're probably preparing to open up the floodgates to allow more people to come in and start taking part. Obviously they've got the Fortnite activation, and there's some type of, I didn't get into like the weeds, but like you can connect your dotSwoosh profile to your Epic profile.
Before we go any further, I wanted to combine all this after we touch on quick news. Maybe we just hit it, but at least let's get through some of the housekeeping stuff that we need to hit. GIF, I want you to quickly cover this Jimena drop that just happened. Looks like it already sold out there on FX Hash.
Yeah, I'll share the collection page. This is actually the one that I minted. And look, Jimena Buenavida, amazingly talented artist, OG friend of the castle, and it's just always great to highlight artists and friends in the space that are doing dope things and seeing some success here, because her newest collection on FX Hash, which is the open generative art platform on Tezos, Regenesis, that's the name of the collection. She just launched this yesterday, and in a matter of hours it was minted out. So if I go look at the project, you can see 111 of them, limited edition, 111, each of them, different generative art. It's very reminiscent of her geometric, colorful style, but a little bit more muted tones, a little bit more overlap in this one. I really like it. But anyway, just wanted to shout her out, man. We love Jimena, and I'm glad that I was able to mint one of these, and it's honestly one of my favorite, one of my favorite pieces that I've got of hers.
All right, I'm gonna fly through this. It feels like everything's happening today, which is nice. Like I said it in the beginning, but we deserved a day like this. We have a tweet here from Watcher Guru. Fed Chair Jerome Powell says crypto appears to have staying power as an asset class. So we're getting the
appears to.
Yeah, always has been. We also have a codependent claim going live. So the physical codependence that was part of that Gucci collaboration, that just went live here from the other side meta. So Yuga is having a day, or at least the last 24 hours. They are putting out a ton. But if you own a coda with the codependent, you are sitting pretty, and go claim that and be a little bit prettier.
Yeah, and where are we at in that whole process? You know, with like the Fed and you know Jerome Powell and the SEC, where it's like, you know, at first they laugh at you, then they mock you, then they you know just ignore you, and then eventually they try and be your friend, or like, what's that whole, I don't even know that progression arc. But yeah, where are we at in that arc right now? You know what I mean?
Well, that's clearly we're in the fight. I don't know about Powell, but for the SEC, we're in that fight mode right now for them. Do not pay attention to Wall Street memes pre-sale there at the bottom. But testifying before the House Financial Services Committee today, Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell says the crypto appears to have a staying power as an asset class. Moreover, the remarks follow similar statements made in the testimony regarding perspective on stablecoins as a form of money. Interesting that he brought up stablecoins. I guess I'll bring this up now. Some individuals think that this is a great indicator for following like market dumps and market pumps. But you can see there, I believe that's probably early June, we had a bump off the bottom for stablecoins entering exchanges, or at least to this point, slowing down. So as we went negative there, you can see the red supply lines or volume lines. That was basically stablecoins leaving exchanges. Okay, so most likely into like cold storage wallets and things like this. You can see over the past week or two, there's been a complete reversal on exchanges or stablecoins entering exchanges. So we're still not in the green yet. But you can see the tweet from Alex Svednik is saying, while the bottom was sitting right there on the front page of Nansen, 4 days before the price bottomed, we got stablecoin analytics there showing us that actually stablecoins are entering back into exchanges, meaning people may be joining the casino a little bit more. So there's probably some other updates there on the Federal Reserve or the Fed and the SEC, but that wasn't really what's up.
I want to inject one big piece of news that I keep wanting to cover that we haven't yet, and that's, I'm sharing my screen here. This could be like a whole rabbit hole, so we don't have to go that far down it. But the IMF is now talking about a global CBDC to basically hedge out cryptocurrencies taking on global dominance, or like becoming global standards. And like, I haven't really seen that many people talking about this, but it's kind of scary. So yeah, I don't know if you can share my screen, but I have it pulled up. So yeah, IMF working on global central bank digital currency. And this is like the part that I wanted to like highlight. The IMF wants central banks to agree on a common regulatory framework for digital currencies that will allow global interoperability. Failure to agree on a common platform would create a vacuum that would likely be filled by cryptocurrencies. So they're literally saying if we don't create a global CBDC that we control through the central banks, then cryptocurrencies are gonna do what cryptocurrencies do. So yeah,
I'm not familiar with the power the IMF has now.
The International Monetary Fund is like the bank of banks.
They actually have
that's Illuminati, right? It's like yeah.
Gotta do some research there.
Yeah,
this is the matrix here. This is the matrix. This is the existing powers that be all coming together and saying like, yo, we need to control this shit at a global scale together.
I mean, at the same time, you have these organizations like BRICS forming, though, right? Where BRICS is trying to replace the U.S. dollar. So doesn't that kind of like, isn't that more infighting than kind of working together?
I don't. Oh, you're talking about the BRICS, right? That's a bunch of other countries coming together to create. Well, it's yeah. I don't know like how that competes. If they're competing, if they're gonna like work together in some way, or if they would have their own version of this, like some kind of global interoperable CBDC that they try and control. But yeah,
Seems
I
like
guess
yeah, it's a rabbit hole combo right there.
Yeah,
Sorry.
the point is that like it keeps getting higher up the chain that they're realizing that we need to control this thing, and so there's going to be massive CBDC initiatives to try and create global interoperable CBDCs. I think most of the conversation so far has been around these like nation states creating their own CBDCs, right? Like China has one. The US is talking about Fed Now and all this type of shit. And now you're looking at potentially these larger nation state conglomerates that control the central banks across the world saying like, no, like we need a bigger CBDC.
It feels like to me that we're moving in the opposite direction with countries working together. I see more fragmentation than I see kind of cooperation on that front. Like, how would
Which
you
might end up for our benefit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which might end up meaning that like we don't end up with like a CBDC, like one CBDC to rule them all, right?
Yes.
Like it might end up that like because they spend so much time infighting that exactly what the IMF is warning about happens, right? Like market share just becomes overwhelming and Bitcoin and some of these other like favor and they're shit out of luck.
Okay, I want to get one last breaking news piece here. I believe this is the one, and I see you there, Cromer, in chat. We'll get to your comment. Oni Force in the last 30 minutes put out a tweet. Enclave, welcome to the first 7 ordinals in the Oni family. Just the beginning of something big. These 3 are the main heroes of the upcoming series. Holding a Genesis is key to the future of Oni ordinals.
Bruh. There's stuff that I wish I could say right now, but you already know, Q. There's some things that can't be said here, but this is big, and I've been actively accumulate. Look, I feel like this is giving away too much alpha here.
Let's
just say that I'm very bullish on Oni. I have been, and I've been buying more, and I'm trying to buy more, and I want more Onis in my wallet. That's all I'll say.
Same. Very much same. All right, we'll look at NFT price floors here in a second. Ronan, the last piece I had before we jump into dotSwoosh and finalize that larger story. We did do a Rate My Bags 9th edition on Thursday. I've already shared this to Biggie. He's given me some of his comments. I would love to hear your comments here on the 9th edition. Now, I know it's gotten larger over time, so you kind of have to take it in. But within like the next minute or two, I'd love to get your take on where we've placed different collections. Anything out of place?
I like instantly, like the first thing I feel like is out of place is Reddit being ranked so low.
Interesting, because we were... Go ahead.
Uh-huh.
Go ahead.
No. You go first, and then I'll say where my head's at.
Reddit's ability to get out of its own ecosystem and into the broader Web3 universe, I think, has been muted. I think that haven't been able to. I don't even know what the secondary volume looks like. They clearly have a really good on-ramp and funnel to create a profile and a user avatar, but that isn't leading to great secondary volume and like other things where you'd expect an NFT to do so.
I disagree. See, like this is where we have this problem, right? Of like NFTs have to equate to like monetary gain and value and shit, right? For me, this is like the best use case of NFTs that we have seen damn near anywhere, right? Like Reddit is a community that is all about the conversation and all about your identity and the conversations that you take part in, and owning an NFT and using it in that ecosystem is probably the most active ecosystem of any NFT ecosystem that we have on the face of the earth, right? And they're using them in the way that we intend, which is for like proper collectability, like they're an ownership, right, within that ecosystem. I don't think that it has to be anything outside of that. I think it's, for some of these projects, it won't be. And I think that's for the better, right? Like, I think that we have to have these projects that are there's not another project that has put out and has as many unique wallets as Reddit does. There's no, who actually has like I would say, I don't know, market share is not the right word, but like market participation, right? Like now when I get on Reddit, dude, like I feel like 3 out of 5 people have a Reddit avatar. Like that's amazing adoption within that ecosystem of an NFT. And if we're trying to argue like, oh, there's no secondary market and value, now we're mixing.
I think that's one feature. That's one feature that we were looking at with this. I think the ability to take that Reddit IP and make it into a larger phenomenon, but maybe we have a blind spot there. Maybe there's a lot of these smaller communities that exist that are interacting with Reddit avatars all the time.
Well, so. It kind of breaks the mold. That's the challenge here, right? Because like everything Ronan's saying, it doesn't really fit the existing algorithm at all. If you look at Reddit and the amount of people that actually use Reddit avatars, NFTs, as their PFPs on Reddit, it's probably millions of people. How many of any of these NFT projects have millions of people using them as PFPs? None. But if you go and look on Twitter, you don't see Reddit avatars anywhere. So we feel like, oh, well, it's not popular within crypto Twitter as a PFP, so it must not be as valuable. So there's that aspect. But then the other part of this is that if you do go and do the wallet check, this is one of my favorite, parts of the Rate My Bags algorithm, is this like wallet check idea, right? Like when you just go look at somebody's wallet, at a random wallet, and you're scrolling through it and you see a specific NFT, what do you think? What do you say? How does it make you feel? And you could go to a wallet and see it absolutely filled with Reddit NFTs, like maybe my wallet. I've got like 12 or 15 of these things that I lost a bunch of money on. If you go to a wallet, you could see a wallet that has fucking 100 of these things, because there's literally hundreds of thousands of them. So you could go to a wallet and they've got 100 Reddit NFTs, and I don't feel like you would have the same reaction to that as if they just had one Bored Ape or one Pudgy Penguin or something like that, right? And certainly the value is, as far as the secondary, wouldn't be the same. So these are the two conflicts here, is that it's like it just doesn't really fit the normal model, but it is simultaneously doing something really, really impressive that nobody else is doing.
So for that reason, are we moving it up? We had too harsh a reaction based on what we were seeing, which is using volume as a metric for interest.
And I think that I don't know, you have to be clear in like what we're actually like, grading them on, right? Like, is it effectiveness? Is it like adoption? Is it like you said, like straight up, like if I look at a wallet, what are the projects that are actually going to make me be like, oh wow, this dude, like, I don't know, fucking collect. That's the, what is the goal, I guess. But if it's what you're saying, then I think it's fine where it sits, because you're probably not even going to see half of them in most wallets that you're checking, because they live within their own little ecosystem, right? Which could, be to their detriment. But I think if we're talking NFT projects and activations that are doing what I think we want to be done, which is like, giving artists a really cool platform to share their art, make a little money off of it in perpetuity, and also onboard people, show them use case for the tech, then I think like Reddit is top tier, right? So that's probably like the biggest difference. I would probably A, like definitely like no lower than like top tier. And if you're, we've got 6, so you're breaking them out in top, middle, lower tiers. I'd say somewhere in the top tier.
I'm not against this. So I think it was a passionate argument. A lot of times with this rating system, it's very open ended. So I think Biggie was saying like we have 2 art pieces or art collections on here, but nothing else, and we're just kind of like playing it by ear, if you will. So I could essentially move Reddit up based on that argument.
Chromie squiggles fits in uniquely well because people that have Chromie squiggles often rock them like PFPs. That's
Fidenzas,
not
though.
Fidenzas. I don't know. Like I don't know that many people that have Fidenzas, frankly. But if they did, they might rock it as a PFP. I probably would. I'd be showing that shit off everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Ronan, before we close this out, any other... Well, first of all, I appreciate your passionate defense of Reddit, and I'm sure that those communities do as well if they're tuning in. But anything else before we close down the 9th edition here?
I mean, I don't know. There's some along the bead line that I'm starting to think like, what exactly, like cryptodes, right? Like, and is that crypto dick butts? Like, I don't know. I would question, but I don't think I have like any fight in me to like make them, to argue moving them anywhere. Everything else was kind of where I think like I would probably put them.
My only question that I'll close out this segment on is using something like Avastars and trying to continuously have them on this list. Do you have any thoughts on that? Because I know you were collecting Avastars in the beginning.
Yeah, that was like my first gut reaction when I saw Avastars was like, I mean, you might as well just move that to like, I don't even know if it should even be on the list anymore, right? Yeah. However, I do know that the Avastars team actually has a team of developers who are paid to be working on this project. So I also know that they've got stuff going on. Like I think they're currently testing a tabletop RPG where you use your Avastars as like your character, and like your Avastar traits then transition or translate into your stats, and then like you play. But yeah, I think it looks pretty decent though outside of that.
Hot take from Biggie Poppins yesterday was that Oni Force might be too high on this list. And the only reason I entertained it was because I don't like to have like my biases completely being shown. GIF. Jeez.
Sorry, bro.
Lord.
Thought I was
muted. Q can't have anything happen.
Sorry, bro. I'm sorry. I apologize to everybody.
It's so loud.
Oh man,
the only reason I even entertained it was because I believe me and Gifted are pretty biased when it comes to Oni Force. Like we really, really love the project, and so maybe being up here with a lot of essentially like the biggest project in the space is not where Oni is yet. They're on their way, and they've shown a great. I see you wanting to defend yourself. Oni is not in the level of a lot of the projects that you see up here. I think we love Gotchi as well, but Oni's just not that large of a project compared to these projects. It isn't.
I have to kind of agree only based on actual output of like product and experience to date. However, I think they absolutely deserve to be where they're at because they have done what they have in the past, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, right? They've actually like put together a real fucking team. You got an actual CEO who's hiring.
We love the
employees.
Trajectory.
You know what I mean? Like if you talk about like projects that deserve to be top tier, I think Oni deserves to be top tier because they have been making the moves, because there's not another project that went from 0 to 100 like they have, as far as if you guys like to talk about numbers and value, right? Like they're one of the only projects that actually had a floor that was like low that has now pumped during this entire like market. And I do think that they're continuous. I think what they've got going for them right now that should keep them where they're at is momentum. And if that starts to die down and there aren't actual tangibles that come out of that momentum, then we start to question whether or not they're ranked too high. But I think they're okay and they feel all right where they're at the moment. for me.
Yeah,
And I'm not like a huge maxi. I don't own any. I sold my last one during this whole run up at like around 1 or something. So
their momentum cannot be questioned. I agree with you on that.
Did you know that OniForce, just their one original collection of 7,777, has more total volume on that collection than all of Art Blocks and Ethereum?
I mean, that wouldn't surprise me.
know.
They launched.
Yeah.
I took part in like the first like 2 weeks of that project, and the volume was
lot of
insane.
energy.
I didn't sleep, bro. Like I will not. Literally, it was like one of the craziest like 2 weeks of my life because it was constant volume and it was constant ups and downs. I've never done so well in trading in my entire life. I made 30 ETH that weekend. It was insane. And then when you consider like how that number went up and down continuously for literally 2 weeks straight, I could see like they launched at a time where shit was just through the roof, dude. People were just in it, right? So I think that helps.
The other part to factor into this is the qualitative. So not just quantitative, how does it stack up? The quality of the art, the artist, and the IP and the storytelling and lore in the world and where it's all going is a step above almost all of those top projects, except for maybe Bored Apes. Maybe Pudgy Penguins, you could say, is like good quality IP and they're doing something, but still qualitatively very different. You've got like a kid's cartoon versus like an edgy, high quality anime, unlike anything ever created by I'm Complex, which is like a world renowned artist. So qualitatively, it stands out from almost all of these top NFTs.
All right, we're going to move into the top 2 stories, and we'll start with dotSwoosh. We covered a little bit of what's going on with them and their Fortnite collaboration here. That kind of took me by surprise. I mean, they really have not teased any type of like game integration via dotSwoosh. It felt more like a fashion and a collectible play, but we did get this trailer. Let's watch it and see if we can gain anything from it.
Those skins look dope. The like sneaker inspired character skins, like they look fucking cool. The world looks pretty cool. You know, I'm guessing this is all from this activation Airtopia or whatever. This, you know, in-game, I don't know if it's a map or an experience or all the above. It looks like a playable map that's all like Nike and sneaker themed. It looks pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that's now with the Fortnite, the Unreal Engine Fortnite or whatever, like they created essentially their own like Fortnite island, right? So you load it up, you can go in, drop in, play. I'm really curious exactly because I didn't see any information on it. Like, what exactly the purpose of tying your dotSwoosh to your Epic was for? Now I don't know if they said anything about that or like, you know.
So there was a comment that I did read that said if you are participating in this event, you can likely claim something else on the dotSwoosh side, not the Fortnite side, not the Nike side, like the dotSwoosh side.
So they're probably, instead of directly integrating on-chain assets into the game here, they're saying they're tying rewards to the in-game, you know, activation to getting NFTs. That's what it kind of seems like there. The other thing here is that
so they'll get an achievement on dotSwoosh for their profile, likely that basically just says, "Hey, you took part in this event." Okay, that makes sense because they're also Fortnite.
They're also incentivizing people to connect their dotSwoosh to the Epic Games Store by saying, if you do this by August 8th, you also get on the like first access allow list for an upcoming Air Max drop. Like that's huge. Like
That is big.
this is really cool the way that this is all being integrated, in my opinion. And I want to real quick throw something else in here, because you brought up that this is like the Unreal Engine example of creating your own island or, in-game map in Fortnite. This is what it looks like. And that video is like really high quality. Like that looked amazing. Uniforce,
Also
one of
from
their
Nike, not dotSwoosh. That was released from Nike.
Yeah, which is huge. That's also huge. The fact that Nike is getting behind all of this, and like the dotSwoosh integrations aren't just sort of siloed off to their own part. Like you're seeing Nike getting behind this. That's huge. One of the big announcements from Oni Day was that they are partnered with one of the Fortnite Unreal developers to create their Oni map. So imagine this level quality of world, Unreal Engine, super high quality, all Uniforce world coming to life in Fortnite. It's going to be awesome.
I don't know if I want to head down this this combo route, but that's actually a nuts topic to bring up, is the fact that now with this storytelling and this medium that we're starting to get, we actually will start to see digital collectibles be of more interest to individuals about wearing those digitally, right? Because the NFTs and gaming hasn't connected yet. Like we've talked about, oh, you can like own this sweatshirt in Decentraland. Like nobody goes there. No, it's not shown off on any mass scale. But if you start to see these type of activations where you get to, at the beginning of this episode, you can see there's Nikes being shown off right there. Those could be, right, NFTs. Like that we're starting to see emerging happening, where the digital collectible and the digital merchandise is being shown off to the point where people will start wanting to collect those, as opposed to just like it's sitting in your wallet, like, and it's sitting in an on cyber. It's like, no, these are in Nike trailers. These are in Fortnite trailers. Collect the only 20 of them.
Yeah. This is the type of stuff that gives me like goosebumps a little bit, because we're seeing in real time the infrastructure being built that does actually get to mass adoption. Because it's not just Epic Games, it's also EA Sports. EA Sports is also going to have a launcher like this that they're going to integrate dotSwoosh into. And these are like the biggest gaming publishers in the world. Electronic Arts, Epic Games, they've already announced partnerships, dotSwoosh partnerships with two of the biggest gaming publishers in the world that control millions and millions and millions of gamers across all their biggest gaming IP and gaming brands. The saddest thing to me about that, though, is that EA Sports recently lost the FIFA license. Because if they also had FIFA underneath EA Sports, whew,
okay,
man.
We're following this in real time. Obviously, dotSwoosh the platform is having problems with their release. Ronan, another conversation that came up to us in the Web3 morning show, GM Web3, artifact holders, and them not being a part of whatever all of this is, and the fact that it is a Web3, it is a move into Web3 and doesn't have anything to do with artifact.
Yeah, I think those are two different entities. Like, I think like they're both owned by Nike, right? But I think that like you can look at Artifact as like, I mean, in my opinion, like you could look at it as like their creative like art house, right? Like where they do kind of off the wall things, and they test and they play with what could work in this space. And then dotSwoosh is like taking all those lessons and all those learnings from like that, and then they're putting out product that applies to the masses, that feels good, and if they got it right, would like be a really easy onboarding situation and experience. So that's what I think. I mean, I think they're just looking at it as two different things. dotSwoosh is very much like Nike, and Artifact is very much like owned by Nike, I think. Also, my dotSwoosh did reveal itself.
Nice.
Let's show it off, baby.
Yeah. Let's see. Share screen.
Also, shout
I'm
out
trying to get
Marty
this a second
because
one to do it too.
he did correct me. I was apparently only looking at one of the art blocks collections, which there's multiples listed on CoinMarketCap. So Oni Force is bigger than one of the big art blocks collections, but not all of art blocks.
Got it.
This is clean.
That one's super clean, dude. I'd buy those.
The matte
I would
red?
buy the hell out of those. Heck yeah. I would rock those.
Can we go back and look at your other one too?
Yeah, definitely.
There's the blue one, and you had one
yeah,
more
the blue
also.
one's cool.
What's that? Let's look at that chocolate and white one.
So following up here, my degeneracy is showing, but you were saying that none of this can be traded at this point, correct?
At the moment.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
but they do have plans for a marketplace.
Yeah, if you go to, I think it's collections. It's either under collections or Galaxy. Yeah, go to collections and then go to, or maybe Galaxy. Yeah, gallery. Our Force One. Click there, so you can see these are all the ones that have been revealed. So they have like a gallery, and there's some really dope ones in here.
There's some pretty sick
look at
ones.
that. Is that a
one's
grail with
this one's
the
sick.
background?
Probably.
Yeah, I don't think there's a lot that have background. Oh, it's like a wrapper.
Go to the one right below it. It's a Chinese like New Year one. It's freaking awesome.
You're the dog. Oh, that's cool. See, I didn't get a lot of the I got mostly the retro boxes because they said that the retro boxes have the highest chance to pull the 1 of 1 white,
Gotcha.
all whites. So I was trying my luck.
Dude, that Independence Day one to the left is also really dope. This one's super fucking cool.
Based on the uniqueness of each of these shoes, and I know Nike probably can churn out anything. Are these going to at one point be physical claims?
Who knows, man? I would imagine that
no.
like some of these are like definitely not possible, but I also feel like the way they pause them and they all have this kind of, maybe there's a world where something physical comes out of these. I don't know. I don't feel like, these could be pretty sick.
I would not be surprised if they gamify it through the community and they have like certain votes from ones that they can make. And they say like, hey, out of these top 4 or top 5, if we're going to do a physical drop, which one would you want? You know what I mean? And they do something like that. Yeah. Lots of errors on the website, but so there's not a marketplace
I got logged
yet.
out.
Yeah, there's not a marketplace yet, but you can see that they've already got a lot of the infrastructure there. They've got the gallery. You can see all the assets in there. But yeah, they have not even launched the secondary market yet.
Got it.
Nope.
All right, so there's
my last one revealed. Now I'm getting the same shit GIF was getting. My last one revealed, but we didn't get to look at it. It was
someday I'll be able to reveal mine too. Can't wait.
All right, there's there's another conversation to be had, or maybe 2 combos to have here, right? We're talking about digital collectibles and merchandise and fashion, and also the gaming side. And they're attacking the gaming side in a different way, right? They're kind of growth hacking it. They're saying we're not going to create our own game. Like Nike is not a game company essentially, but we are partnering with gaming companies to have our assets inside of those games. So a little bit of a different move than what we're going to talk about here in a second with Other Side basically and Yuga Labs more so, right? With the heavy metals, the Legends of Mara, the Dookie Dashes. This is clearly now a gaming company and they're building it from the ground up, Web3, as opposed to kind of playing the Web 2.5 game. So it's a good dichotomy to have happen at the same time because we can see 2 examples. But any last takes on dotSwoosh? What's up?
I mean,
so
Jimmy McFly got jokes. I'll just say that. Go ahead.
No, it looks like there's 2 achievements that you can get by like linking your account. One being the one for linking the account, and that NFT is going to give you. Actually, I can share my screen because it's probably easier if you guys could look at it. That one is going to give you access to a digital, virtual max collection. So this is the NFT you get, and then you get access to a digital max virtual collection. So it's basically like whitelisting. And then also it says here that
who's tweeting this? What's his name? Can you drop
Herbie?
that in chat?
Yeah, Herbie. Liam Herbst.
I'm gonna try to zoom in for the folks at home.
Oh yeah, sorry, I could do that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But yeah, so that was the collection. This is apparently one that you can buy. If you buy this one, you get a different NFT that is unlocked, an achievement, and they haven't provided utility for this one. However, it exists. So it's super interesting, and like you said, like they're trying something new. If you collect your account, you check out this space in Fortnite, you get early access to their next digital drop. So we're seeing some really cool stuff coming out, I think, gaming in general. And I think that, when you look at something like that, it's a cool revenue driver, right, for everyone involved. It's a cool way of marketing in a way that makes sense for the generation now.
And to your point, Ronan, about the way you release a product, it feels like we're in this next generation with drops from these larger brands. It feels like we're beyond the nonsense that we had to deal with. I think the Game of Thrones drop was probably the top. Like the Porsche Game of Thrones era was what felt like the top. Like these releases, man, Starbucks, Nike, these are legit. Like with good advisorship or some better teams. I don't know what it is, but they have the examples to not fuck up on, and they're clearly executing. Oh, muted.
One big clear difference between at least something like Game of Thrones or a lot of these other branded drops is that they were licensed and they were not actually coming from the brand in any, so they had no long-term sustainable outlook. It was not something that we're trying to build to engage our community and build the community platform for
Cash
our
grab.
future. It was just a cash grab. That's
Yeah,
all
you have to
those were.
understand exactly. Like the relationship there when they purchase the IP is they pay to be able to like go and make these things, and then they make them to make money. Period. Like it's no different than buying the rights to make a toy out of Game of Thrones or buying the rights to make posters out of Game of Thrones. Right? There's companies all over the world that each own the rights to do different things like that. And when you look at like the NFTs, it's like they're the ones who own the rights to do digital collectibles. When you look at Nike, this is a division within Nike. These people work out of the Nike headquarters. They are, shoulder to shoulder with other Nike employees, and they're building within that ecosystem.
They bought the
it.
studio. They bought the studio, the Web3 studio, and brought it in house. Right? They bought Artifact, which is like one of the best Web3 studios. They didn't just like license out some stuff to them or whatever, partner with them on a one-off. They literally bought that whole studio and brought it in house so they could get the expertise to show them how to build out their own platform.
All right, I'm looking at the Artifact ecosystem now at some prices. We could probably pull that up. But any last takes here on dotSwoosh? I showed some full screen imagery there. I really liked. Again, I just love that we're at this point in NFTs now where like we have multiple projects doing awesome storytelling, building worlds. That's amazing. And it's more than just like I hate to throw the gutter cat piece out there, but like it felt like Yuga drew this roadmap and then everybody was trying to recreate that kind of feel of just like an overhead of a city. Like we're way past that level of storytelling now in NFTs.
Yeah.
It's exciting. I just want dotSwoosh to get their website working better, man. So whoever is out there,
yeah,
I hope y'all can get the website working better, man. That's been the one downside so far.
I'm sad that it went down, man. We didn't even get to see my last reveal.
Yep.
Man, I have to contain my energy a little bit because we've been talking about Web3 gaming for the better part of fucking 3 years, if not more. And we're right what feels like on the precipice of something. And
yeah. But I think that we're also still seeing like, I don't know, a lot of these projects that are like in the middle, right, as well.
Yeah.
And like, it's like, this is cool. And yes, this is dope for Web3. And this is not like to be shunned, right? Like these are steps. And these are like probably the right steps that need to be taken as we continue to move towards like greater adoption. Yeah. but there's still a long way to go before like we're actually doing the things that we know that can be done with the technology on a bigger level.
Love it. All right, we'll move into the heavy metal piece. That was obviously another big, like large piece of news and update that came out via Bored Ape Yacht Club and what they're doing with the Forge, heavy metal, Legends of the Mara. So we'll move into that here in a second. I did want to give a last shout out here, NFT Go, our sponsor for the week, Ralph Quintero's favorite Web3 tool. He said it on the podcast, unprompted. I didn't hold him hostage. He said that. And I use it every day too. So I guess I'm in the same camp with him. But yeah, NFT Go, thank you guys for being a sponsor on this month's episodes of NFT Live. We appreciate y'all so much. And let's get into the NFT Go bag check.
Bag check.
All right, so we're sitting at 33 on the barometer. More interested in here the developments on the blue chip, especially with a pump. Right? Like when I look at this ETH chart, this USD chart, what I'm looking to see is the difference in NFT price floors comparatively to an ETH at 2,000 or 2,100. And that's what we'll be watching here over the next 7 days. You can see over the last 30, we've been pretty much wrecked against ETH. USD has been about the same, but you can see a little bit of a price increase there. I doubt that stays the same based on ETH pumping here. Although, to be honest, maybe I'm looking at it in the wrong way. With ETH pumping and price floors hopefully staying stable, you will see a rise in USD price. Market cap and volume has been, bad as well. ETH not doing well. Volumes have stayed pretty strong. As you can see, over the 3-month period, we're down a little bit on the volume charts. Market cap more so is being hit in that time. So if we look at ETH, the market cap is almost at an all-time low. We're bouncing a little bit there. So all that to say, volume still staying relatively stagnant. Like if I go to zoom out to a year, you can see even more so. What does this have to do with Blur? You have to obviously factor that in, but volumes are not at all-time lows there. Let's see, collection distribution here over the last 24 hours. Bored Apes, Mutants, Punks, Azuki, Heavy Metals making it in. Beans in the top 10. DeGods, CryptoPunks, Captains, and CloneX there. Maybe we're seeing a little bit on the CloneX side. We can jump into that here in a second. 7 days looks about the same, but Pudgy Penguins looks to be in the top 10 from there. So let's look at CloneX real quick and see if this Nike release has any effect on that price. So it looks like no floor price effect. Not that it needs to, but volume is pretty strong. Obviously, being in the top 10 there.
Well, Ronan, you're a CloneX holder. What is your thought on all this dotSwoosh stuff, the big integrations, and where do you see it actually starting to overlap and integrate?
I honestly don't know if it will. I think that again, like I said earlier, I think we're looking at two different things. I think what is happening with CloneX and what they're doing with this project and the pods and the what are the companion things called, the avatar things and all that. I feel like this is all self-contained outside of necessarily a Nike dotSwoosh universe, right?
Got it.
Do they overlap eventually somewhere down the road? I could see a world where, the next Fortnite island might have maybe some artifact stuff thrown in, but I just don't see it being a huge thing personally. I just think that I think they want that to be their experimental space. They want to do stuff that is not carrying forward facing the Nike brand name, but is still bringing the clout. Right. And so we'll see.
I'm seriously concerned with Jimmy Butterworth right now. Marty Butterworth saying heavy metal looks amazing. We're about to get to that, folks, here in just a second. That was, again, the last piece we wanted to touch on. Inscriptions. We didn't get to chat together on Gift Dead. I'm interested in y'all's take maybe tomorrow or next week. But inscriptions are the highest in sale volume here over the last 24 hours. or at least number of sales. Let's go to sale volume. Number of sales. Let's do that instead. Boring Punks, Heavy Metals again. So Naka's consistently on the most traded NFT PFP collections, man. They're always on this list. So
yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Shout out to the Nakas.
I flipped one yesterday. Still got one holding right now. If it dips more, who knows? Maybe I'll get more. It's been around that 0.2 mark. That's been a good entry because it seems to always have another pump at some point. So not financial advice, but yeah, I flipped one yesterday. Still got one. I don't know. The whole CloneX artifact thing is interesting, and you might be right, Ronan. I tend to think that at some point there's going to be more clear overlaps. But maybe not. I do get that they're separate worlds, right? They've got the whole sort of CloneX ecosystem by itself, and then they're creating dotSwoosh, which is it's more like a Nike community platform. So they don't want to just smash them together or anything like that. It wouldn't make sense. But I think of Artifact basically as a sub brand to Nike, similar to Air Max or Jordan or any of these others, that they are creating different products and experiences around within dotSwoosh, right? So right now we've already got Air Force One, the Air Force Ones. We've got an Air Max drop coming. I think there's going to be an Artifact drop. They've already created physical versions of Artifact sneakers. And I think, you were saying even LeBron was rocking some of those. So to me, there's such a clear tie-in to having it as an actual sneaker brand underneath the Nike dotSwoosh ecosystem. It's already Web3. It just seems crazy to me that there wouldn't be some clear overlaps there at some point while still keeping them simultaneously their own things too. I don't know what it looks like, but I just would be shocked. In my head, I was saying this on GeoMob3, I think in a year I can see in Nike outlets that there's a small, very limited wall of Artifact sneakers in Nike outlets.
I can see that. I could 100% see that. I think that the potential is there. I don't know if Nike just wants to go that direction necessarily, but I do think that it's super telling that, hey, they did do these physicals, and the physicals were sick, right? On one side you got the swoosh, on the other side you got the artifact symbol. To me, it would make a lot of sense. I think it's just a matter of the bigger, mother brand deciding on when to pull the trigger on something like that. And maybe they roll it out the same way. Maybe we see, because they still got to deliver on the shoes that they did at the end of the last year, right? So maybe what they do is they continue to use the Artifact brand for testing things, right? These are going to have the auto lacing tech in them and all that other shit. So it'll be interesting. And I'm super interested to see what else they bring to that's digital physical to this experience, and how that informs what Nike proper is doing.
All right, with that, we are getting to the last story of the day. My favorite story, Heavy Metal, Yuga Labs moving further and further into this gaming narrative in this gaming company and universe that they're creating. We got a dope trailer, an announcement that the 29th is going to be when the game officially goes live. So we're about to jump into all of that. Before we do so, please leave a like if you're liking the content. If you like these creators up here, we'd appreciate it if you guys leave a like on the vid. Also, nothing that we say up here is financial advice, legal advice. Even though we're working on getting our financial advisor certificate here, we're going to see that in the long term, nothing in the short term. So seriously, right now, nothing's financial advice.
It's good to know.
All right. The last piece, we had was Heavy Metal. Before we jump into the trailer, Whale.Swoosh, a really great follow here on Twitter, is speculating about fragmentation. And we've touched on this on the channel, but Whale, of course, puts it into great terms for the Twitter community. People speculate why BAYC has dropped to 40 ETH and Mutants to 8. The reason is relatively simple: fragmentation. With Heavy Metal, for the first time since Mint, there is an independent storyline that doesn't require Bored Ape or Mutant. And I don't know why I started with FUD, but to be honest, it's true. You know, it's something that I think Bored Apes will have to do or deal with over the long term as they go more and more down this route. But this is a great post, I think, and I wanted to at least start it off with that.
I guess fragmentation is an accurate word to use for it, because yeah, you have to fragment audiences, but it's also like fragmentation here is a strategy to get you to mass adoption or onboarding new people into the ecosystem that was inevitable if they were going to continue to scale and grow, right? You can't build you can't build a global game publisher with massively successful games that have millions of DAUs or MAUs if every single activation and thing that you have to do requires you to own a $100,000 asset. Right.
Well, and then like, I don't know. I honestly I'm just of the opinion that they're where they're at because the market is where the market is at. And I think that like when you look across the board, like most are in that position. I don't think I subscribe to this like theory only because I see it taking place the same way kind of Mutants did. You couldn't get a heavy metal if you didn't own an ape to start. But once they were distributed and everybody had their passes and all their stuff, now you can move forward, just like the Mutants. It's like you had to have an ape to get a mutant, but once Mutants were minted, they hit the secondary market. Now you've got, whatever. So I don't know if that's the reason why they were where they're at. I think
it doesn't help.
It just makes it seem like it was a bad move for them to make a decision to do this, and I don't think that's the case at all.
Yes,
right, and I don't think that that's the case or the reason why you're seeing the number go down, and that's what that thread is implying pretty heavily.
Yeah, the price conversation is tough to have because you get into a lot of what ifs, right? Because that we don't exist in a reality where they didn't release heavy metals, and we just have two collections, so we can't say that it would be higher. But I do think fragmenting and we've seen this play out in other projects. That's where I kind of push back against this. Is we've already seen other projects fragment I wouldn't call it fragment their community, but fragment the volume across different assets, and that hasn't helped them. So
yeah, I'm going to stick to like the market and it being the way it is. I don't I really wish that we would have had, I don't know, another 8 months of what we had going, because like the fact that like the market like crashed at the time it did, it's really affected it stunted a lot of the growth of this industry. You're seeing so many companies pull back. You're seeing so many like abandoned, Spotify, they abandoned token gating. They're not going to be working on it anymore. Shopify is no longer going to be doing their Web3 integrations directly within the platform. Amazon, obviously, do you see an Amazon marketplace? No, I'm not saying that they're canceling it, but I am considering what took place if everybody was so positive that it was launching in April, yet it hasn't launched. And why, right?
There is an opportunity there, though, that's found. When you do get to mass adoption, the opportunity for quote-unquote alpha diminishes. The fact that we have another round of this where everybody is kind of not on board is an opportunity for us. Unless you were well-positioned in the last... If you were fully well-positioned in the last cycle and you were set for life based on the assets that you held, and if we ran another 6 months, you would have been good, then the opportunity now to have another cycle, because we are going to see it. We're not at mass adoption. Maybe that's an opportunity.
When you say that, it actually feels like it's true today.
I believe it. I think that like I think that anybody who thinks like we're completely dead is like just like not understanding like how tech works and how like these things happen. And they probably didn't live through 2008. If you like look at like, I had this conversation yesterday. If you look at Web3 and tech as it stands now and the way it's been gimped by the market, it is exactly the same as social media. The mass adoption it started to see then died in 2008 when it came to businesses and brands adopting it for business purposes. Post 2008, you realize in 2010 and on, like brands went back and totally adopted it. And it became what we all knew it could be in 2008. It just didn't happen because brands are not willing to put money into their innovative departments when the fucking sky is falling. So they put a pause on all that. They waited out. And at the same time, the good ones, right, are still doing a little bit of work. Like Nike, dotSwoosh, Amazon is probably still working on the marketplace, even though they may not have launched. So yeah, I think it's a net positive. It just makes things rough while you're in it.
I'm being a little bit facetious because I just feel it feels very different when you say optimistic things like this on days like today versus what we've been doing, which is, Q, myself, even you, Ronan, and Biggie, is sitting up here for months where it's just like day after day we're doing NFT Go bag checks and it's just like down,
the numbers down,
and everything in the world is saying it's fucking over, and we're up here like it's not over, it'll be back, there's gonna be another bull cycle one day, and some of those days though you feel kind of crazy, like you believe it, that's why you're saying it, but you feel a little bit crazy some days sitting up here saying this stuff. But today, like when Nifty Q said it, I was like, I feel way more confident than the average day. The other thing I wanted to throw in though, to the interesting points you're making, Ronan, is like the ones that actually made solid infrastructural investments in that initial run that like stopped or paused, I think they're going to be back when the time is right. And I'll point to Meta. I think Meta actually did probably a lot of research and a lot of development to do some initial sort of like testing, and like they played with a couple different NFT products that didn't really have the why or the audience figured out. They didn't have the proper utility. And then, because all of the massive investment that they were doing on the metaverse wasn't seeing an initial ROI, basically their stockholders kind of forced their hand into like redirecting the company for now. And Mark Zuckerberg, being a survivalist and a brilliant dude, is like, look, I got to at least not get thrown out of my own company if I'm going to keep being here. So he's like, all right, I'm going to pause all this for now. I think in the next year or so, we're going to see a bunch more stuff come out from Meta on Web3.
Can I add DP's comment into what you just said? He said, this is just the first baby step with Nike and dotSwoosh. The mainstream gaming industry still needs to carefully massage the concept of NFTs into gaming to avoid pissing the mainstream off. You see them doing that in real time. They know where it's headed, but they don't want to piss their user base off, just like Meta did.
That video that Jonah shared of like those gamers sitting around realizing that the EA Sports thing was about like NFTs, and that dotSwoosh was actually going to be integrating NFTs under the guise of digital collectibles was absolutely fucking hilarious. And again, I just look at that.
I haven't seen that.
I just look at that as it's like, this is what mainstream adoption looks like, which is gamers like slowly coming to the realization like, oh no, they Trojan horsed us. We're using NFTs. What the fuck? But you're not going to stop playing your favorite games. You're not all going to boycott EA Sports because they gave you ownership over your digital assets.
Yeah. I would love to ask those guys what their thoughts on just Bitcoin in general was, owning your own money potentially.
Dude,
so
Sweeney is very, very open about the fact that he understands and appreciates Web3 and what it can provide. And I think that he's also extremely intelligent and understands how to read a room and knows that like where to draw the line in defending it. Right. Because if you look at his Twitter, dude, he defends like the need for asset ownership. But he also makes it very clear that like Epic has no plans to implement Web3, which just means that they haven't figured out the right way of rolling it out the way they did with like Fortnite to like be a Trojan horse to all things fucking NFT and Web3, right?
Yeah. All right. Well, we have to get to heavy metal. I know we said we wanted to,
and I've got
that.
3 minutes.
Okay, sounds good. And I want your take on heavy metal then before you bounce out. I can't do it. I know,
but Ronan, I shared that tweet in the chat, so maybe we'll play it out at the end. But if you want to copy it and go watch it after you leave,
I'm pulling up in a tab
because
because I got to check that out. Absolutely.
fucking fire, bro. That's an awesome trailer.
It's so good. The production like is just scaling and it's awesome. And it's great to see that like, you know, the quality of these announcements. I love whatever the fuck that was at the end of the, the thing. It's so anime, you know what I mean? I'm interested. Like, so this is heavy metals. This is forging. This is like what you can do with them. Are they building on other deeds lands?
No,
Is that where they're building?
no.
this
Legends of
is
Morrow. Legends of Morrow will be on Other Deed, and you will need an Other Deed to play Legends of Morrow. This is separate.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah,
this is
lore,
cool,
maybe,
man.
but
I
go ahead.
mean, yeah, no, I think this is really cool. Obviously, like I think that they took a lot. It looks like they took a lot of cues from 10KTF. You know, with like the UI and like kind of how it looks like this will probably experience. And I'm here for it. Unfortunately, I jumped out of like heavy metals and I didn't jump back in. So maybe there's a little FOMO there, but it's very, very cool.
Up about 20% on 20-30% overnight from this trailer, but still below an ETH. For those of you that are interested to play this,
can you just play the very beginning, like the production card? Like, can I hear it though?
Yeah.
I fucking love it.
Yeah.
Cause dude, it reminds me of the like Sega. Like you start to see the vision of like creating a global game publisher here underneath, you know, this Yuga banner. They're just starting to create real fucking content. The other thing that came up this morning that I think is going to be really fucking interesting is this looks like it's a game that's optimized for mobile. If so, that's going to be a game changer. This is going to be crazy. Like, we have not had a lot of great mobile experiences in Web3 yet. And mobile gaming is fucking massive.
Mm-hmm.
Globally. Like Asian markets, they have they have entire fucking competition series for mobile games.
Yeah, the other piece to this, and it's obviously a huge, complex topic, heavy metal and Yuga right now, but ApeCoin and having the ability to have ApeCoin usage within whatever this game is important, right? We want to continue to see not only, I'm a holder of ApeCoin, obviously, but the ability to have other NFT projects launch tokens is super important. And you have to see use case. You have to see a legitimate use case. And that's what Yuga's doing opposite of dotSwoosh, right? They are coming from a fucking Web3 native brand, building from the ground up a Web3 game. It's that simple. Like with everything involved, fungible tokens, NFT holders get certain assets, rewards are probably on chain. Like all of this different stuff is straight up Web3. And I'm fucking excited.
Yeah, it's cool, man. And I think that like the you know, just like we always talk about, the further we get down the road, like time is the only thing that like is going to get us where we need to be, right? And we can't do anything to make it go any faster. So I'm really looking forward to. I'm definitely going to be on the sidelines watching heavy metal, checking out what they're doing there. Still in on Legends of Mara though, so we'll see how Yuga takes this going forward. But with like GIF, I'm super hype on the potential, and I can see it, and I love that. I love that you asked to play the intro again because I didn't actually have my headphones on the first time I watched it, and yeah, dude, that reminds me very much of like the Sega intro, the Dreamcast. And so anyway,
good point.
Yeah, dude, I got jumped. That was freaking awesome. It's always good to catch up with you guys. I think that, we're in an interesting time in the space, and no matter what, I do think that like there is a future for like the tech, and like, I think brands are going to start adopt this shit. It's just right now we hit a little lull, and we'll see what happens, once the economy picks back up.
Love it. Love to see you every week, man. I'll hit you up after this episode. Yeah, it was great sweater again. Shout out to the black hoodie. Tell me you still got your 8, correct?
I do still have my ape at the
Okay.
moment.
Okay. All right. Love it.
At the
All
moment.
right, dude. At the moment.
All right,
At
guys.
the, yeah.
Yep.
All right, brother.
I appreciate you.
OVOT.
Later.
Big love. You know what's not in a low at the moment is Pepe. I saw you pulling it up. Pepe up 45% on the day. That's, you know what? That feels good, bro. Not gonna lie.
It does. I
Not
love that
financial
for you,
advice.
brother. Hell
Not
yeah.
financial advice.
All right.
Man.
Squash is saying, did you notice the main heavy metal post from BAYC was posted at 420? Yeah, shout out to Yuga. They always know how to get us degens. OVOT, what's up, Easy and Crypto? We're covering the heavy metal release here. We just covered dotSwoosh about 30 minutes ago, if you want to go back and look at that one. So Laying Low had a tweet thread here that I pulled from the Other Space FM. So Other Space FM, of course, Baron Von Hustle and those guys are getting after it from the other side perspective, but also pretty much every game in the Yuga ecosystem they're just degenning heavy on. So I found this thread within that Discord. So I'm just going to read through it and let me know if you see anything you want to pick apart. But Laying Low saying heavy metal is setting up to be a multi-season journey with season 1 kicking off June 29th and lasting TBD. Multi-season equals not a here today, gone tomorrow experience. Just from this tweet, I know I touched on this earlier, and I don't know why. Maybe I'm just afraid of what the degens and the grifters in this space are capable of with overwhelming, I think, the narrative like they have with Yuga the past month or two, where we've seen a consistent drop in price. The grifters and the fudsters have come out. They're gonna do the same thing here, and they didn't have that opportunity too much with Dookie Dash because it wasn't a consistent game. It was here today, gone tomorrow, like Laying Low is saying here. So this is a risk to put out a game that's going to be here for months and months and months to allow the fudsters to get involved. So that's my first take. Is it's not Dookie Dash, right?
Isn't everything a risk? Isn't life a risk?
Yes.
Isn't doing nothing also a risk?
Pepe's up 40% and now gifted as a philosopher.
I mean, we're always philosophers every single day. It's what we do here.
Do you take anything from the build, flex, fight, evolve?
I mean, we read through this whole thread on GMWeb3, and I think obviously a lot of it's speculation, but he's got receipts. He shows a lot of he points to different references and images and pulls from various different posts and background context. So I think that thread is remarkably interesting. Like, it has a lot of really awesome, ideas about what all this might mean. So yeah, I think that outlines the general flow of the game or the general game mechanics, right? Like, what are you trying to do? You're trying to build a home. You're trying to build, your weapons. You're trying to build your own mech. You're trying to compete and fight in different ways, both team-based and maybe one-on-one. Who knows what that looks like? But at the end of the day, what is the reason for all of this? It's to try and get you to evolve through at least to Evo 2, so that we know that there's Evo 1, 2, and 3. We've been through Evo 1, and now the idea is to get at least to Evo 2. Not sure if this will get you all the way to Evo 3, but maybe that's the seasons, right? Because it is a live service. It's going to be running longer. It's not just a 2-week activation. But I don't know. I would share that thread, in the chat for anybody that wants to dive deeply into it. And I just think that that's maybe the best example of trying to spell out what it all means.
So the thread continues on and shows a arena, right? The heavy metal arena, which triggered my brain based on build, flex, fight, evolve to think both Tamagotchi and then Pokemon, right? Is the final form. And so if you have the ability to see these things as companions, then you can see where the Pokemon evolution comes in and where you're fighting in arenas and pieces like this. So Farmville mixed with Tamagotchi mixed with Pokemon is the vibe I'm getting from what I'm seeing. Obviously not that, I'm not comparing quality, right? Pokemon's one of the best games of all time and one of the best IPs of all time. I'm just saying that type and style of game.
Yeah. The general concepts and game mechanics, I think, are going to pull from all those. I think you're right. I think this idea that you have to maintain your land, your plot, your home, or whatever by taking different actions. That's the hook for keeping people engaged consistently and returning in. Replayability is important. It has to be sticky and it has to be fun. But part of that is also having these hooks that make you want to come back every day to do different things, to earn different rewards, to upkeep your home, to add different things, to participate in a new challenge. This is what live services do. They are consistently providing you with new activities, new rewards, new things to do. And that's what this is going to be. So every single day, there's going to be a reason to log into this game. There's going to be a reason to be there, to do something. That's how you get monthly active users. That's how you get daily active users. That's how you actually build an ecosystem that is churning out whatever type of value and engagement it has to. But I did love this. I didn't catch that arena illusion in that lo-fi playlist thing, and I love that they pulled that in here. That's freaking cool.
So the ability to battle is obviously going to be big. Build your home. We showed off a ton of different graphics there. So building the home, leaderboards, something I've already come to terms with, and you should too, is that there are going to be people with way more time on their hands to be up at the top of this leaderboard. It will be interesting to see how lucrative it is to be at the top of these leaderboards. So I've just come to terms with it. Likely my role right now is when I'm researching this piece is to head directly to Other Space FM. That's where I'm going to be surrounded by people who are taking this game and playing it 16 hours a day. And those are the people that I need to be learning from. So that's where I'm at right now with what's going on with heavy metal. Again, I'm hesitant to place anything like this into the success category when it comes to like the space loving it. You know, we already seen the FUD come out. So I think overall the reception of this game across the space is not going to be good, is what I'm trying to get at. I don't think it will be good if I had to make a prediction. Does that matter? No. I really don't care, but I'm just making a prediction. And then the last thing I'll say here is the fucking storytelling with the anime is dope. Ronan pointed out, I love this. I love this move.
I think, first of all, I agree, because look, anime is fucking cool. Lots of people around the world love anime. You did bring up an interesting point, though, which is like, at what point does it become cliche or trite if every single project is trying to be an anime project and build out their IP as anime? I don't think we're there yet, though. And to your point, they even got sort of the Gundam mech thing, going on. I don't think that we're even close to the point where there's been enough big successful Web3 IP that you start to say like, oh, I'm over it. I think we're still kind of just getting going, and you see Oni, you see Genkai, you see Ethers coming, you see this. I think Valhalla, Azuki, whatever. I think we're going to start to see some actually really legit anime shit coming out of the space that is going to maybe transcend. You might see a couple of these IP transcend into global brands, globally popular, franchises and things. And then at a certain point, once you've seen a lot of that, over a year or two, then if you start to see more anime projects pop up, you start to be like, come on, guys, do something else.
Anime, I will say it out there, like the amount of anime titles that exist is seemingly never ending. Hey, real quick, man, like I know we've covered this before on the channel, but this is the evolution it looks like we'll go through. So as you can see, the heavy metals as they exist today are lying on the ape's shoulder. And then this looks like Evo 2. So this is what the heavy metals are looking to become in the Forge. And then Evo 3 happens, I believe, with the regular Evo here and the Doggo Evo here. Because you can see the Doggo in the mech suit there as you kind of zoom in. So interestingly enough, like the Doggo mech, I thought would be like a little bit rare because, again, you'll need that dog. But it doesn't look as cool. It doesn't look nearly as cool or large as the regular evolution. So
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, what kind of powers they have in the games, right? They might have really unique capabilities that only they have. So yeah, like how the doggos and their evos factor into the larger game, I don't know. Could be pretty dope. I'm still kind of confused about there's heavy metals that have their own companions, because like when you look at it in that context,
Yep.
like they're clearly little companions to like the Voyagers and the apes, but then also they have their own little companions sometime. Like what are those about? And what
The
like, how do they-
companions. So do you remember the Lick the Toad event? Which I think along the storyline that has been the weirdest. It was like a week long, maybe even less. It was like 48 hours where like Lick the Toad. It was like DMT Dookie Dash. That's been the weirdest one to me, because now the people that won that got companions. I don't know what they are clearly, but that's how people got them. I'm going to jump into this comment real quick, or message from Orenhi. I want to make sure I'm saying his name right. Let me know if I'm a complete fucking idiot. This is also the power of Bored Apes at this point. Like, you have community members creating content for you. Not to say that there's not other brands that do this, but again, this is the power of Bored Ape at this point, is they got a ton of different creators doing this.
The Bored Ape Yacht Club's newest collection, Heavy Metal, their next video game that they're releasing is on June 29th. We got the release date today and a bunch of other information which we're going to be breaking down. Look, Heavy Metal is something I've been looking forward to since the end of Doogie Dash. I've been looking forward to the 3 Evos since they got announced in early January. So we got our sewer passes a few months ago, which based on your score, you got a little robot dude. And now that robot dude is going to become a bigger robot dude, and then this bigger robot dude will become a
So there's your companion there, right? That's what you're calling out. It looks like there's
a bigger robot dude, and then this bigger robot dude will become a even bigger robot dude in the next few months. We've got a lot to talk about. So season 1 begins on June 29th. This obviously shows that there will be reoccurring seasons. I can see Heavy Metal being a long-term game. I don't think it's going to be temporary like Doogie Dash. I think it will probably go on forever. Yeah, there are 4 goals in this next game. This game is called The Forge, by the way. So in The Forge, your 4 goals are to build, to flex, to fight, and evolve. So building, you're building a little base for your little bot. You probably have a daily energy bar, and you can only use like a certain amount a day to build certain things. And if you want to refill it, you'll need some ape coin, which is like where the pay-to-win aspect comes in. This example that I'll put up on the screen right now, this placing down this 1 block consumes
What?
38 energy.
Pay to win? You don't like the pay to win part?
No, I love the ApeCoin utility there. I love the Ape. I mean, Doogie Dash again only lasted like 2 weeks, and we saw how much money flowed into that.
I think it was about 2.5 mil.
It was,
worth.
yeah, good call.
Energy, and it takes time for this block to
a
place.
persistent
So,
game using ApeCoin.
Just guessing that ApeCoin will probably be used to like speed up the process or instant finish it, or something somehow. But this whole ecosystem is powered by ApeCoin, so just stack up on it while it's $2. And then
What, sir? Are you living in the U.S.?
Not
players will
financial
go and
advice, my
visit
guy.
Forge, or
That was like the definition of
is powered by ApeCoin, so just stack up on it while it's $2. And then players will go and visit your forge or different people's forges, and they'll vote if they think it's cool or not. Voting consumes 10 energy, so use your vote wisely. You can either upvote someone or downvote someone. If you're on my island, please upvote me. And then you can switch forges to visit other people. You can probably go and visit your friends, help them with energy. The whole cooperation part of it hasn't been announced, so we don't know how we can work together yet. And then
The whole social and voting aspect is like
like it.
interesting. Well, it's just because you know what ends up happening is like you'll have the few influencers that have massive followings that are able to basically monopolize a lot of the value in this when it comes to that. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes.
Accept
But
it.
yeah.
you can fight. Once your home is built, you'll be able to engage
DP
in
saying,
fights. We
"Get
don't
this
have too
guy
much
out of here.
detail
I'm
on
trying
the
to
whole
learn."
fighting aspect of it, but we do know that the end goal here with the heavy metals or the little robot dudes is to fight each other, because we have a ton of teasers of a heavy metal arena coming into play. So probably end of year, you'll be able to like fight your dudes against each other for another 8 coins.
This guy's got
so
a
yeah,
hard
there's
list.
a big boss fight coming.
I couldn't listen to a
maybe
lot
at the end of
his
season
content.
1, which we don't know when that will be. I assume
I'm excited
this game
to
and
battle
Legends of
you,
Tomorrow
Q.
will not overlap. That would make
You want to take on
almost no
my
sense. Or
Celestial?
maybe
Are you sure about that?
Oh shit, probably not. We'll see.
Although
I guess
yours
we'll
is
see.
a knight.
Yeah, maybe my knight can actually like level up and get decent. We'll see.
So he just called out something interesting here. Let me play it and then kind of zoom out from it.
makes sense. But yeah, season 1 will probably last a month, and then we'll fight a boss at the end. And you know, as
So the idea of cooperating together, that was the cool part about the trip, right? You did the second trip, I believe, and you really liked the ability. I think I did the first trip, and being able to attack the coda was a big part of that. So this idea to be like cooperative has always been like the most shared part of the trip. Because that was like, it was dropping in with everybody, and then it was battling the coda, and those were the two most shared clips.
This idea of boss fights seems to be really interesting throughout, because even though in the second trip you didn't actually get into a fight, the end was a reveal of a big boss. I don't know if you remember that too.
You know what
So
that
you
comes
did have-
from? Go ahead.
Well, it comes from gaming in general. I mean,
EverQuest, World of Warcraft games that the Yuga guys played, right? The raids essentially.
it goes back to King Kong or Donkey Kong. I mean, it goes back to like,
But more so the raids. Like the raids are very incredibly important to mass MMOs. Is like the high level raiding against the single boss.
okay, and that's true. But I just mean even just the concept of like having bosses at the end of a level is pretty much inherent within just gaming in general. But they seem to really be leaning in to creating these massive characters that you can, to your point, raid or fight together. And it also kind of reminds me a little bit of League of Legends, because, you know, in their whole world, in the Rift or whatever it's called in League of Legends, you know, they've got different dragons, different creatures that you can all kind of like battle together or by yourself to unlock different rewards and shit like that. So I don't know. I think it's really cool though, because, you know, they did reveal there again, like they've now shown like three different possible bosses at least. They showed like the big coda, they showed that big serpent thing at the end of the second trip, and now they got this crazy anime creature, and they all look fucking cool. They all look really dope.
I'm gonna play this for you one more time.
Bro, I actually
It almost says
I love
Sega.
that. That's what, dude, it sounds like a Sega. Like it really sounds.
Yeah, that's yeah. Really like the boss. I like that you pointed out the boss feature, because it seems that they're leaning into that. DP's bringing up a point, and then we will close out. If y'all have any last takes on heavy metal, let us know. But DP saying it'll be a bunch of Web3 gamers pretending to enjoy themselves for about a month, and then yeah. Again, that is my concern with a persistent game. Is how do they hold people's attention for multiple months, even multiple years? Like they're saying this game is going to go on forever. Like, okay, good luck holding people's attention. There are so many other mainstream games doing it way better without forcing a shitcoin and voting system down. And I'm only calling it shitty because that will be the sentiment. Okay, appreciate that you're trying to stay objective with it for sure. I don't think Yuga's forcing a coin onto anybody. Nor do I think that
It depends how important the pay to win mechanic is, right? I do think that that's going to be very, very important, and is kind of a maker or breaker of this. If they don't have the paid aspects built into it in a way that is accessible for people that like don't want to be spending a bunch of money every day to be getting something out of it.
Here's a take, if based on what DP's saying and what you're saying. You were talking about mobile and people using this and it being massive for that, but there's clearly Yuga understands that they're not a mainstream game, because you still need a fucking heavy metal to play the game. It's 0.85 ETH. It's not free.
For this game, yeah.
Though you need another deed. to play other Legends of Mara.
But are there going to be other ways to participate in this game without having a heavy metal NFT asset? Because it is a social game. So they might keep the social aspect to those that have the NFT, but to me, if they were smart, they would find a way to make this game accessible and fun to people who don't own a $2,000 NFT. That's kind of what I was imagining that they were going to do. And
they're not coming out the gate with it for sure.
The other thing that I'll say that makes me interested, or I don't know, it just makes me think more back to what we saw with the dotSwoosh sort of glitches on the website trying to get this BitGo wallet worked out. It seems like some of these big companies are now working on their own on-ramps that they, maybe haven't spent a lot of time marketing outside or like trying to bring more people in yet. But I feel like they're all going to start doing that pretty quickly here, because these types of games, these types of products are meant to be more mainstream.
Yeah, they are. I mean, I loved the take on mobile, but I didn't even put it together that, unless they somehow make it accessible to everybody, it's still going to be just for, heavy metal holders. All right, you're talking to two gamers up here, so we're not gonna agree on this take. We are not agreeing with this take. Don't build a game. Find another novel approach into the industry aside from building a game. Build some infrastructure. That's just boring, man. Let other people build infra. They're a content creation company. They're a media company. Gaming's the medium to tell the story. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's it. That's their business. Right? Is content, is media, is IP. They are not just a bland tech infrastructure company. Adidas put the FIWO collab on hold. The plot thickens. We've mentioned the FIWO allegations, but have tried to stay out of speculating on it because right now they are allegations. And I was very curious to see, because yesterday on at least maybe today, but I think yesterday on OpenSea's homepage, they still had like banner ferocious Adidas across the front page of OpenSea. And I was kind of surprised. I was like, wow, yeah, they are not slowing down right now. So there you go. Adidas putting the FIWO collab on hold over these allegations. That is breaking news. Again, we have to wait to see where that nets out. I'm not going to cast stones either way right now, but it's obviously unfortunate whenever those types of allegations do come up.
Yeah, the only time I'll comment on things like that or things that make their way out into the Twitter sphere is when I know the person. I know FIWO, I've met him, but I don't know him. Like that. So I will not be commenting on things like that.
I definitely don't know him like that.
Yeah. Sure. So I have nothing to stand on there with whether who's right and who's wrong. I'm a gamer too, sir. The games suck. Let's be real. Okay, last take here, because we do have to run. The game doesn't need to be this gigantically awesome experience in Unreal Engine 5. We made this
bar is so low
in the GM Web3 show. It's like, make a really fucking addictive. Like, I had fun playing Dookie Dash, and it partly it was because of the reward on the other end, but that's part of the game. That is part of their ability to create that value that people want to have on the other end of playing that game. So you have to add it in there. But it didn't need to be an Unreal Engine 5 and this like next Star Citizen. Like, and I'm not a big mobile gamer, so I see where you're trying to go to. Like, this is like Candy Crush. I see people playing Candy Crush. I'm like, what are you doing? Stop. The
amount of money that they sink into these things is crazy.
It is wild.
It's crazy.
But listen, man, they're like, what a good game. Games are kind of like art, right? It's subjective. Like, I hate Candy Crush. I think it's a terrible game, but clearly the market says otherwise. The market says it's a great game. How many people play Candy Crush? Like, what is the user base on at its height? Candy Crush and Clash of Clans. Like, I'm like, what are you doing? But these games have huge market bases. So I push back a little bit against the games suck. Yeah, I would love to have an out of the box World of Warcraft based on Web3 IP. That would be phenomenal. I was a RuneScape player. I was a World of Warcraft player, EverQuest, all that stuff, but it's not going to happen right now.
Also, like, saying not to create games, the gaming industry is $250 billion a year industry. It's $250 billion a year industry and growing. It's been one of the fastest growing industries over the last 10 to 20 years. So it's not like a bad industry to be.
Yeah. The game loops are lackluster, but that's just my opinion. Okay. I see the take. I see the take there. I appreciate the comments, DP. I think that there's some validity in what you're saying. So, Squashman saying, yeah, Adidas posted this morning in Discord. We shall see. HM. What is HM? Is the Friendster of Web3 gaming.
Heavy metal.
We will love it
He's
until the MySpace games come. Okay. All right, folks. Hour 45 today. We appreciate you guys staying through the entire NFT live today. We will be back, of course, tomorrow with the GM Web3 morning show and another episode where we can. I'm interested in your take on e-scriptions, GIF. We haven't even touched on it.
I don't know enough to have a take. I was trying to listen to some of the other Twitter spaces yesterday about it with the founders.
Ordinals on ETH.
I still don't fully understand why. I still don't fully understand why, other than to capture hype based on the ordinals.
It's a great take.
The thing is, like, I get that it may have some kind of use case that's interesting here, but I still don't understand what that would be exactly. When you have smart contracts, you have all these different standards on Ethereum that can do all these different things. So I'm still trying to unpack it. That's all I'll say. I don't fully understand it yet. And if anybody is an expert, feel free to come and educate us on our shows, and we will listen.
Well, come in prepared tomorrow, because I think that's going to be a potential topic that we can cover. I would love to get like obviously a team member of whoever created the original platform that these are being traded on right now. I'd love to talk with them, but the community knows a good amount as well. So we'll have that topic tomorrow. Good show today. We'll be back.
Shout out DP. He gets it. Him and Marty McFly are here to talk all this shit. Apparently left Action House also.
All right. I'm showing off one more thing. It's a little bit of Shillville here. We got Ralph Quintero, of course, on the Wild Wild Web. I'll show you a little bit of a clip of that video. I'm not going to play any audio, but you can. Oh man, come on, Restream. All right, video is not working on Restream, but I'm looking at it. So go check out that episode. I just dropped it in the chat. Again, Ralph is a professional. He has a lot of shit to say about a lot of really important things in this space. So he's one of the best thought leaders, in my opinion, after talking with him.
I like Ralph. I'm very excited for this episode. So congrats to you. Yo, smash the like for this man, Nifty Q, getting badass interviews with badass people like Ralph Quintero from the Daily Ralpha, one of my favorite newsletters for sure. So yeah, I'm excited to give it a listen. That is just published now on the Spotify.
On the Spotify, yes, on the Spotify platform. Check it out. DP, I know you're not talking about Ronan. Was that other guy part of the Web3 team? Ronan the Collector? Come on now.
Hell yeah, he is.
A great part of the Web3 team. We appreciate you.
Oh, gee, that other guy. Get out of here.
All right, folks. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow. Our Vibe, our tribe. Peace out.